Well, I'm now joined from Edmonton in Canada by a mother and daughter who've both lived in Gaza but have lost 36 family members in Israeli airstrikes in Khan Younis. Ghada Ageel is a professor of political science at the University of Alberta, and her daughter, Ghaida Hamdan, previously volunteered with UNRWA and other human rights organisations in Gaza. Thank you very much for your time and for joining us on the News Hour. If I can turn to you first, Ghada, it's hard for any of us to comprehend what you have lost, the enormity of what you've lost in the last few weeks. Can you tell us how you feel at this moment?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us. It's really very difficult situation. We are traumatized and horrified by the genocide that our nation and families, friends are experiencing. We are glued to TV screens, to phones, to try to seek news about them and, thinking of the unthinkable, imagining the unimaginable. I mean, with every sip of water we drink, we think of them. When we hear the siren of the ambulance, we think, are they alive? Are they dead? When we charge our phone, it's really, really difficult, just to even, to comprehend what is happening, let alone here, of course, having a family, including children, like my youngest son, keep, as us, glued to the TV, trying to get some news about his cousins, about his relatives, and weeping. And even when I try to distance him, please go and study, he said, Mom, I am watching the news. They are living it. I'm thinking of Hashim. I'm thinking of Mu'tasim. Even at the night when I try to sneak to his bed in order just to check on him whether he's asleep, the first thing he would ask me, Mom, tell me the truth. Is something happened? Did I lose someone? It's really horrible beyond belief. Very, very difficult situation that we are experiencing.
And are we talking about immediate relatives, siblings, those kind of relatives in terms of what you've lost? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. Actually, we lost my cousin on the 13th of, or actually maybe 10th of October with her 2 kids. And then on the 20th of October, we lost our home. On the 24th of October, my husband's sister home has been attacked together with 35 people. I mean, 3 generations, her children, grandchildren, grandchildren wiped out in a minute. And yet, on the 26th of October, another bomb fell on Khan Younis, this time my family. 42 now we lost, and dozen still under the rubble. And this is why when I say it's horrible beyond belief, it's really horrible beyond belief. It's I don't know, it's unimaginable, as I said.
And very difficult, no doubt, to wake up every single day to find out more news from the region. If I can just turn to your daughter, Ghaida, you were volunteering in the region until quite recently. You obviously know the terrain, the towns and cities very well as well. How does it feel for you, knowing the area, to see all this playing out on television effectively?
Well, honestly, it's quite surreal. I think looking at it and looking at the daily occurrences that are happening, we are now entering day 33 of what some have started referring to as the Palestinian Holocaust. 33 days of almost 11,000 people martyred and 2,000 to 3,000 still under the rubble, mostly civilians, and 75 of them women and children. Over 1,000 families scattered as a whole, 200 medical staff, 40 facilities have completely shut down from medical facilities, services, because they have no fuel, no medical supplies. And these are not just numbers that we're talking about that are in the north of the strip or that are in the middle of they are all over Gaza Strip. They are scattered in the north, in the mid area, and in Khan Younis, the south, where they said or deemed that it would be safe. It's we're talking about Gaza losing now a child every 8 minutes. In that time interval of 8 minutes, a parent loses their child, a sibling loses their sibling, a family loses a member, and in some cases the whole family is gone just like that. And that has already happened to both sides of our family, as my mother had just said. 48 from my cousins and their families, 2-3 households all next to each other, totaled to the ground, 3 generations, with the youngest one day year old baby Yaqeen. 2 days later, meters from my grandmother's home, again in the south, both of them Khan Younis, where I stayed most of my time volunteering in Khan Younis, had also gone with dozens of people martyred, including my close friend Aisha, who used to always keep me company and bring me any dish that she would make. Also, yani, you know, you look at the situation on the ground, and it's not comprehensible at this moment of time. We see these images and we wonder, if these were Israeli children, then not one single Western government would have stayed silent. And this is the result of the racist and colonialism that we live as Palestinians day in and day out. My family and our people are expected to die because we are not worthy of what has been deemed as international human rights. Time and again, we are reminded of this. Where are the rules of law? Where are the rules of war? Where are international human rights? Where's the Geneva Convention? Where's the vow to never again?
Indeed. And Ghada, the people that you're talking to in Gaza, are they actually even contemplating, daring to think about what the next few weeks, the next few months might look like?
Yes, actually, it's difficult because even communication with them, it's become day and day, or day after day, is so difficult. You know, the past few weeks or days, I have been trying to reach my family and my friends. And a couple of days, I heard from 2 of my friends and my family, and I wished I haven't, because now after they bombarded the family and the relatives, and they killed all this number and damaged my home, now my nephews refuse to sleep in the home because it's no more a safe place. Bashar and Aboud are going to the garage, which is a small like parking lot covered with zinc and asbestos, preferring to sleep in the street. And you know why? Because if the house is going to be bombed, their parents can rescue their body. They can recover their bodies. They have been, these 2 children, together with the entire family, digging by their bare hands in order to recover the bodies of their friends, their family members. I heard yesterday also from Manal, my best friend from Khan Younis camp, and she told me, Ghada, we lost our grandson, Fadil, so beautiful, so intelligent, so bright, a boy who dreamed to be a pilot, is no more, with us. I said, I wanted to offer her condolences, but she said, Alhamdulillah, thank Allah, we are better than others. And for a moment I said, what does she mean by we are better than others? And then she would, continue to say, because people, children are still under the rubble. People are unable to, to recover the bodies and bury them. Worse than that, she's telling me about people whom their children is still under the rubble, and they call them, Mom, we can't breathe. Mom, can you come and rescue us? It's so difficult. I mean, even to hear as a mother, as a human, as, in the 21st century, my heart breaks even to hear the story. I can't sleep at night just to think about those mothers whom their kids are still under rubble and they can't breathe. It's a failure of the humanity. Gaza is the graveyard of Western bankruptcy, of Western morality, of the human rights. It's really horrible beyond belief, let alone Naura's. The day before yesterday, I heard also from her, and she said, Ghada, my eldest son is gone. He's a medic, paramedic, just graduated from having his nursing degree. And, he returned, home on the 8th of October to help his neighbor to evacuate. That's 8th of October, the second day after October 7th. And while he has been helping to evacuate his neighbors, the elderlies and the sick people, they hit the building and his head has been separated. It's really horrible beyond belief. This is what I meant, and it's so sad. And what it's get to the media, glimpse of what is happening.
Indeed, and lots of people will listen to your testimony, and they know that you've spent a lot of time there, and obviously clearly lost lots of family members now. It's an emotional time, clearly. And we appreciate your time to help us with trying to understand what is going on there. But just a final question to Ghada now. What are your hopes that may happen in the short term now? Presumably it's a ceasefire so that humanitarian can get aid in, or you tell us?
Well, of course, I think the whole world can come into agreement that a ceasefire is needed actually a couple of weeks ago, not today, not tomorrow. This is something that is of crucial essence to be able to open corridors where you're having the fundamental things that are needed to enter the strip actually enter the strip. People are now, entering into winter. It's becoming much colder in Gaza. People are in makeshift shelters that, we're talking about UNRWA schools that are taking thousands of people in. My cousin works in one of them, and she says we have around 40,000 in a school that has 4 bathrooms. Diseases are on the spread even outside of hospitals. People that have had amputations are, suffering from severe aftermaths of that, from infections, from diseases, from lack of water, clean water. So really, that is the most fundamental thing right now, is for all of this to stop. We need the killing to stop. And we need occupation to end, and we need Palestine to be liberated so these people have a right to life, to dignity, to autonomy. Just like anybody else that lives, we deserve to live as Palestinians. So this is the message right now. Gaza is truly one of the most magical places that you could ever be. Even when you're there, you miss it. It has such a unique character. It's hard to find it anywhere else. And like my uncle Fahad always used to tell me, Gaza is like a wonderland. Everything that isn't supposed to happen or isn't possible happens. And everything that is impossible also is happening, because that's the spirit of the people. People are able to push through the barriers time and again, but we're talking about an occupation now. We're talking about expulsion since 1948, and people are tired and they say enough is enough, and time for Palestine to be liberated, time for Palestine to be free, time for Gazans and also Palestinians in the West Bank to have that freedom of breath. I think the only thing right now that doesn't have a price tag on it is air in Gaza, because everything else has been completely cut off from people. So,
OK, Ghada Ageel and Ghaida Hamdan, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but that is all the time we've got left over. Thank you very much for sharing your experience and also your loss with us here on TRT World. And I hope you can keep in touch with those relatives that you're continuing to speak to.
Thank you so much for